Hello, my name is Chloe Folden, and you're most welcome to the next video in the video series, Restoring the Divine Blueprint of Initiation. In this video, I'm going to get into the meat. I'm going to get into the guts of spelling out very clearly from more than one perspective everything that goes into consummating the first birth initiation. And my hope is this will help to dispel what I call initiation misinformation, dispel initiation misunderstandings, and that this will start to help circulate more whole information and more integrated understandings over the totality of the first birth initiation. Because like that, the entire reason for this video series, en masse, there is a lot of very watered down, misappropriated information that's constantly circulated en masse that does in no way, shape or form accurately describe or discuss the first birth initiation in totality. And also, just to clarify, I am talking about hierarchical initiations. I'm talking about the initiations that Ascended Master Dwalkul discusses in the Bailey books, the information that he gave out on the initiations in the Bailey books. And there's other source material that discusses the first birth initiation as well, but that's the context I'm talking about. I'm not talking about initiation in a general sense. I'm talking about the first birth initiation, the first birth hierarchical initiation, the initiations heaven bless you with by virtue of where you are with your evolutionary enforcement journey. I'm also talking about the initiations that the Brotherhood of White Light, the Great Brotherhood of White Light, have attempted to try to give information out on. And sometimes it has not been translated properly, which will become evident when I start talking about this. So before I get into this, just to give context as well, as most people are aware, because this is a big part of my service work, people are aware that I am clairvoyant, but more than that, I have very intact inner vision. So I can see in detail what I will be discussing, meaning the Antakarana threads, the chakras, the aura layers, how that phenomena interrelates, how Kundalini rises in an appropriate way, all of that and more. So please keep that in mind, that even though I'll be discussing this from a level over offering a better understanding over what Ascended Master Dwalkul did mean in totality of the first initiation. At the same time, this would be I'm going to bring up a document that from an academic scholarship point of view is more holistically aligned with what Ascended Master Dwalkul has stated about the initiations. But at the same time, it's also from an inner vision point of view. So let's get into it, because I'm sure a lot of people just want me to start into this and just get on with it. So I know a lot of people are very excited for this video. So I'll just bring up my screen share. So at the moment, I have contacted and have been contacting people who've been studying mainly the Bailey books for nearly as long as I've been alive. And I've been asking them to give a casual peer review of what I've pulled together, because this document, I've been working on this document in earnest for 7 years. In another way, I've been working on this document for over a decade, but I've been in earnest working on this for 7 years. So 12 years or over 10 years ago, this started putting this together, but in earnest 7 years ago. So did I want to say anything else about that? So yes, when I've had this casually peer reviewed and it's airtight, so to speak, because I want to make sure that no one's giving me good suggestions over something to consider or giving me any good questions with constructive criticism. I want to make sure this is airtight before I release this document for free. So for those wondering, I will be releasing this document for free. It's just in the middle of being critiqued, so to speak, from knowledgeable, wise sources. So, but I don't mind creating this video because so many people have been asking. A few things have been happening behind the scenes, and look, I need to create a test video just openly discussing this for more than one reason. So, in other words, quite often I've come across people who have not realized they've gotten their information from questionable sources, or are going through a learning, as I call it, meaning they're learning to understand the information in the Bailey books, or they're learning to get to grips with proper language and things of that nature. But I quite often come across people who've been told that the first birth initiation is mainly around diet, health challenges, some physical struggles, and things of that nature, meaning that the first birth initiation is only around physical plain life lessons and challenges, if you will. And they've been told that that is a first birth initiation in relation to what Master Dwalkul discussed in the Bailey books. And they do mean that they think that that is a first birth initiation. And look, I've had learnings around this as well. So look, it does happen. And it's always good to keep an open mind for keeping up with learning. And like that, the material I'm discussing with the Bailey books and evolutionary enforcement techniques should always be approached with an occult open mind, and always be open to further learning, but to always reflect and fact check before taking something on board as a fact. So, in other words, that belief is what I'm targeting today, meaning where it gets parroted off the first birth initiation is just around diet, physical challenges, physical health. No, that is only one piece of the birth initiation, one piece of it. That's a piece of the probationary pathway. So today I'm going to set the record straight with the totality of what the first birth initiation is and back up what I'm saying and why. So to begin with, please note this is a draft, extract, and subject to change. And this is my point of view from all proper source material that I've been able to gather from continuing clairvoyant case studies. So sources for what I'm about to share. Sources are: number one, continuing clairvoyant case studies of students subjecting themselves to evolution enforcement techniques. 2, the late Michael Robbins initiation compilation videos, because he gives a lot of support quotes and references the Bailey books different information has come from. It's a phenomenal video series, so detailed, it's gorgeous. And 3, the Bailey books, which are proper source books for information imparted by Ascended Master Dwalkul and the Brotherhood of White Light in relation to what the hierarchical initiations are in totality. So, as I'm discussing this document, please remember the following. The birth, baptism, and transfiguration initiations are the major initiations. Initiations overlap, and that's what can cause people confusion as well, not understanding that you're seeing overlaps for something you're being prepared for that hasn't quite grounded yet. that there are stages of development between each of the major initiations, meaning there are minor initiations in between the major initiations. You go through minor subplane changes that lead up to the totality of the major initiations. And that's another issue that causes people to overestimate or misunderstand, meaning someone will have a minor initiation and think it's a major initiation in totality. When a major initiation is ending, a minor initiation is starting simultaneously. You cannot separate when a major initiation ends and the stages of development for the next initiation begin, because the process overlaps. I can't stress that enough. Initiation is a spiral cyclic process. Each minor initiation and major initiation overlap in graded stages, meaning this is also what leads people to misinterpret and overestimate. If you are coming to the end of a major initiation, the stages of development for the next initiation are already simultaneously starting, meaning you can't separate where one initiation starts and the stages of the next one are beginning. They're linked. The first birth initiation links with the third transfiguration initiation, meaning there's a piece of the first birth initiation that deeply links to the third transfiguration initiation. The second baptism initiation links with the fourth crucifixion initiation or renunciation initiation, meaning there's a piece of the second initiation that links with the fourth crucifixion initiation. The third transfiguration initiation links with the fifth revelation and sixth decision initiations. In particular, there is a piece of the third transfiguration initiation that links with the sixth decision initiation. The fourth crucifixion initiation links with the seventh resurrection and eighth, the great transition initiations. The first birth initiation is also known as the Lemurian initiation. Isn't that gorgeous? The first birth initiation is known as the Lemurian initiation. The second baptism initiation is also known as the Atlantean initiation. And the third transfiguration initiation is also known as the Aquarian initiation, because of the Aquarian age we are in. So it is taken as a given that before subjecting oneself to an evolutionary enforcement technique, that the central vertical channel or axis from soul star to earth star is sufficiently and effectively cleared of all internal obstructions and widened to minimum 1 inch in diameter. If students will use the soul mantra, build the central channel and become anchor points for hierarchy and transmitters of these vital energies, they will serve to externalize hierarchy and to speed the process. And that is a quote from the Rainbow Bridge book, the first one, Rainbow Bridge Link with the Soul, written by the late Josephina Norman Stevens. The late Anne Merrill helped compile that book, meaning these are the late founders of the Rainbow Bridge meditation techniques that I teach, and also am the clairvoyant reader for, meaning I'm a publicly known reader for the Rainbow Bridge techniques, people working with the Rainbow Bridge techniques, helping to assess progress. I give assessment readings. So the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques are available for free. I will put a link down the bottom for a small exchange fee. I teach Rainbow Bridge Phase 1. And there is also a Antakarana PDF that I already released over the stages of building the Rainbow Bridge, meaning even though people will need to wait a few weeks for me to publicly release this document I'm about to share and talk people through, while you are waiting, please read my Antakarana PDF that's available for free. I'll include a link. And please revise what I say about stages 1, 2, and 3 of building the rainbow bridge. And I'll provide links. So, to clarify, what is the first birth initiation? This video is an attempt to restore and circulate more whole understandings over what the first birth initiation actually is when discussing and considering hierarchical initiation. So, stage 1, minor initiation. Your physical birth marks the start of the probationary pathway towards the first birth initiation. The soul to head thread extends down from the soul star through the central channel and anchors into the head. This happens at the physical birth of a baby when the first breath is taken, and this stimulates the tiny thin beginning of the central channel and the gradual opening of the 3 physical plane petals in the heart center, which open one at a time. Most often, this opening takes the whole adult life to achieve, meaning sometimes it takes, by the time you're a late teenager or early adult, to have the soul to head thread rewoven properly and 3 petals open within the heart chakra. So as stage 1 is occurring, the violet ray pours down from the soul star chakra, clearing out some dense low-grade energy being held mainly in the first layer of the aura. So in other words, the 7th ray conditions the personality intermittently during stage 1 of development. This starts to purify the person on physical levels, internally and externally. Heart chakra, 3 physical plane petals start to open one by one, and they will open in order of someone's ray makeup. So for example, someone who is an indigo ray personality with an orange ray soul, 5th ray soul, would open the petals most likely in order of physical plane love, physical plane knowledge, physical plane sacrifice, one at a time. In other words, it's always the soul to head thread. It's always the Antakarana thread that will anchor first. And then as lines of light are added to that Antakarana thread, impulses of light are then sent down to the heart chakra in particular. And those impulses of light then trigger the first ring of heart center petals into opening one at a time. And again, this is also what leads people to sometimes overestimate, because there will be multiple impulses of light per petal. Multiple impulses of light per petal. So you will need to live through multiple physical orientated life lessons to get all 3 of those petals to open in totality and develop. So these petals opening trigger life events to be lived through for maturing one's understandings for how to harmonize with the physical plane within themselves and without. Chakras, as stated already, the bud of each chakra starts to settle into place. I'm talking about the 7 major chakras. During teenage years or early adulthood, the major chakras start to develop more. During stage 1 of development, the 4 base chakra petals start to open one by one, and a small transference of energy can be seen from the base chakra to 3rd eye chakra. So from lower base impulses, very slowly to higher mind awareness. So a little bit of Kundalini rising starting to happen, a little bit, a trickle of it. Aura, the first layer of the aura starts to clear up a small bit. Fogs and some low-grade thought forms clear up in the first layer of the aura mainly. So a small sub-plane change within the first layer of the aura. Practical causation, the person starts to develop basic personal awarenesses through the 5 main senses: sight, sound, taste, touch, feel. Diet, eating habits, basic hygiene, getting to grips with understanding all physical plane aspects of life and relationships. So base chakra orientated life lessons. And Karana Bridge, only partially built from Earth Star to Soul Star Point. Stage 2, minor initiation. I'm still talking about the birth initiation. I'm not done. There's more. So I'm still talking about the birth initiation. Stage 2, minor initiation. And Karana thread. Soul to heart thread now anchors the first portion of the life thread. It extends down from the soul star and anchors into the heart. This triggers the 3 astral plane petals in the heart center to open one at a time. So the petals in the second ring of the heart chakra. When 2 soul threads, head and heart, are anchored and all 6 heart center petals are open, this marks being fully built to the soul star energy center or chakra. Conditioning ray. So the blue ray, the 6th ray, intermittently conditions the personality with stage 2 development. The 6th ray pours down from the soul star chakra and conditions the personality internally and externally on mainly emotional levels of awareness. The blue ray has a stabilizing impact on the emotional astral plane of the personality. Under the stabilizing impact of this ray, the emotional body now starts to be purified of some of the low-grade, old, stuck emotional imprints and thought forms and low-grade astral fogs. Most adults on the planet have the soul to head thread fully built and the soul to heart thread partially built and 3 to 5 heart center petals open. Most adults look like this to me until they start doing deeper work on resolving external and internal karmic imbalance. So in other words, what I'm trying to verbalize there is by the time you're an adult, meaning around 21 onwards, without any evolutionary enforcement work, you will re-anchor your soul to head thread and get 3 petals open in the heart chakra. And you will partially anchor your soul to heart thread and maybe get 1 or 2 petals open in the heart chakra. So without any evolutionary enforcement technique, you'll get to just the early stages of stage 2 development. Or in other words, another way of wording this is you'll get around to stage 2 of development on the probationary pathway. So this is a description of starting to move through the probationary pathway of development. Probationary pathway. So not even in the middle of the probationary pathway, getting to the middle of the probationary pathway, but still at that point. So the removal or resolution of external and internal patterns builds the light body and speeds up the process of antakrana thread weaving and heart center petal opening. Until people start removing external and internal patterns, most people only reach the first stage of building the rainbow bridge and can struggle to reach and consummate the second stage. And that is a fact. And this is why the world collectively is in such a messy state of emotional turmoil. Isn't it interesting? And so where am I? Sorry, yes. But when I give people the rainbow bridge or ray path healing techniques, you can fully reach the second stage. Working with either the rainbow bridge phase 1 or ray path healing phase 1 enables a person to fully build to their soul star and even get built to their triad chakra point, which is stage 3. So continuing, I'm still talking about stage 2, which is a part of the probationary pathway. So heart chakra is part of stage 2 development. The 3 emotional plane petals open one at a time in the second ring of the heart chakra or lotus. These 3 petals open one at a time according to the person's ray makeup. This triggers life events to be lived through that mature the person emotionally, and helps someone traverse external emotional life challenges as well as internal emotional challenges. This helps the person to internally and externally see and perceive their emotional states more clearly and see through the lower astral realms externally in the environment. Chakras. As stage 2 is consummated, this causes the 6 sacral chakra petals to open one at a time, and a small transference of energy to start from the sacral chakra to the throat chakra, from lower expression to higher expression. A little bit of that starting, a trickle of it starting, another little bit of Kundalini rising, a small bit. Aura. Mainly the second layer of the aura now starts to clear up. Low-grade astral fogs, loose thought forms, old emotional imprints, and some emotional complexes now start to break down and clear up. Practical causation. The person starts to develop a vague awareness that there are forces that guide and impact our life outside of our basic awarenesses and control. Internal emotional life lessons with improving emotional health, emotional intelligence, and awareness with the personal self and in relationships with others. Mainly sacral chakra orientated life lessons. The Antakarana bridge. At this point, the Antakarana bridge of light is completed from Earth star to Soul star point. Stage 3, minor initiation. I'm still talking about the birth initiation. It is important to note that the stage 3 minor initiation is still a part of the universal first birth initiation, but it's this part of the initiation process that links the birth initiation with the transfiguration initiation. So this piece, some of the causations in stage 3 are a piece of what links the birth initiation to the transfiguration initiation. But this is also what can cause confusion and cause people to overestimate. Going through the stage 3 minor initiation is in part preparing you for the third initiation, but you haven't had it in totality yet. So, stage 3, Antakarana thread. The personality service thread now starts to weave, which is the first portion of the creative thread, the activity thread. This thread starts to weave up from the duodenum and the solar plexus, through the central channel, through the soul star, to link with the abstract mind point in the triad energy center or chakra. The energy center above the soul star. So I'm now talking about the chakra, the celestial chakra above the soul star. So this weaving triggers the opening, one at a time, of the 3 mental plane petals in the ring of the heart chakra. So the personality service thread that weaves you to your triad or builds you to the abstract mind point in your triad triggers the opening of the 3 petals in the 3rd ring of the heart chakra. So 3 threads woven plus 9 petals open in the heart center indicate that a person has built to the triad chakra in their aura. At this stage, there are only core external patterns and internal patterns remaining. Keep in mind, as we progress through this document, I am talking about people who are now using proper evolutionary enforcement techniques, in particular, the rainbow bridge techniques and the ray path techniques. So this is now only happening because a proper evolution enforcement technique is being utilized, what I'm now discussing. This does not happen on its own or all by itself. This must be induced. So, properly reducing external and internal patterns causes the threads to weave and the heart center petals to open in a sequenced rhythm. I have found that the rainbow bridge techniques are flawless for removing external and internal patterns. Without the rainbow bridge or ray path techniques, people would remain stuck around just short of properly completing stage 2. I've seen other techniques that have helped some people reach stage 3 or come near stage 4, but they can get stuck there also. When I ask about this, I learned that it has usually taken the person 15 to 20 years of repeated use of other esoteric techniques to reach stage 3 or get near stage 4 of building the rainbow bridge. In contrast, I've seen the rainbow bridge and ray path healing techniques get people to stage 3 in only a couple of months after starting phase 1 of either technique mentioned. Conditioning ray, the orange ray, so stage 3 development, as you're building to your triad. The orange ray, the 5th ray, pours down from your triad chakra and conditions the personality. The 5th ray stimulates the mind and the mental plane of the person. Heart chakra, the 3 mental plane petals in the 3rd ring of the heart chakra now open one at a time. For example, they could open in order of love, knowledge, and sacrifice. Which petal opens first, and the sequence of opening is dictated by the person's ray makeup. Chakras, the 10 petals in the solar plexus now start to unfold and develop properly. This starts to cause a small transference of energy from the solar plexus to the heart chakra, from gut, lower mind reactions to more heart-centered orientation. A little bit of that starting to happen, a little bit more of Kundalini rising. Aura, mainly the 3rd layer of the aura now starts to clear or clean up old mental imprints, low-grade thought forms, mental plane distortions, and some complexes now start to break down. So a subplane change within the mental body. Practical causation, or mental plane, I should say. Practical causation. The person experiences opportunities and synchronicities for what is more authentic to your service and life in general, meaning career and personal life. This also deeply heals the link between conscious and subconscious mind. This allows someone to more clearly receive impressions from their own soul and also from the light workers in hierarchy that the ray of their triad links them to. So let me pause here and I'll go into this in more detail. When you are building to your triad, if that's being done properly, through a proper technique, and you've been taught properly about what that process is and causation and things of that nature. As you build to your triad chakra that's above your soul star, on another level, vibrates and exists on the planes that hierarchy operate from, the higher planes. So in other words, your triad on another level links you to your ashram and hierarchy. And which ashram that is revealed by the ray of your triad. So I'll come back to that. I'm still talking about practical causation of stage 3. Being more aware of one's thinking process, how one thinks, healing the mental body, mainly solar plexus orientated life lessons. And Prana bridge. At this point, the bridge of light is completed from Earth star to triad chakra point, so to hierarchy. This connects the person deeply to their council of light or ashram and hierarchy. For example, if the person has a yellow ray, meaning 4th ray triad, they would describe themselves as an initiate of the 4th ray ashram, or a 1st degree initiate of the 4th ray ashram when they've completed stage 3 of building the rainbow bridge. You would now start assisting with small impressions, little testing steps for externalizing the 4th ray ashram. So the end of stage 3, minor initiation, marks the end of the stages of development for the first birth initiation. So the first major initiation. So when you have fully consummated stage 3 of development, that marks the end of the first birth initiation, simultaneously, the start of the stages of development are happening that prepare you or start preparing you for the second baptism initiation. So I'll try to articulate that again. Towards the end of stage 3, so stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3 of building the rainbow bridge are probationary pathway minor initiations that all then consummate into the totality of the first birth initiation. So as you come to the end of the third stage of building the rainbow bridge, you are coming to the end of your first birth initiation and starting the preparation stage and stages that lead into the second initiation. Another way of wording that, it takes 3 minor initiations to consummate the first birth initiation in its totality. So, back up facts for what I'm saying. When you don't fall foul of cherry picking information out of the Bailey books, and when you give yourself time to read the Bailey books and absorb the Bailey books properly, in the Bailey books, and this is where the Michael Robbins initiation compilations are phenomenal to watch, it is stated very clearly by Ascended Master Dwell Cool that for considering the totality of all of the causations, all of the auric markers, all of the manifestations for the first birth initiation, there needs to be 8 petals open in the heart chakra. So you've got to have around 8 petals open in the heart chakra, and that's just one auric marker for a birth initiation. There also needs to be the transformation of the heart chakra, the activation, if you will, of the heart chakra. That happens around stage 2. The soul to heart thread, which is a portion of the life thread, that thread anchoring into the heart chakra, triggering the open of the second ring of heart petals related to emotional development and growth. That is the birth of Christ light in the heart, or the start of the birth of Christ light in the heart. That's a serious activation of the heart. And that's another auric marker that needs to be there. It needs to have happened. The other auric marker that's discussed very clearly is the type of Kundalini rising that needs to have occurred. So from a little bit from the base to third eye, sacral to throat, solar plexus to heart, those causations need to have happened as well. And that also lights up the chakras. That level of Kundalini rising, even though that's still not full Kundalini risen yet, nowhere near, that does light up the chakras. And sometimes you can even see in people this intertwining energy that loops up and down from crown to base chakra as that energy transference happens. And all of that and more, meaning Ascended Master Dwell Cool, and it's scattered throughout the Bailey books, gave definitive markers to consider for what the full birth initiation is. And it's also mentioned that there is a linkage point between the first birth initiation and the third transfiguration initiation. So this is what I mean by there are a lot of auric markers and causations to consider for consummating the totality of the first birth initiation. So just to make my point nicely clear, coming back on the initiation misinformation I am trying to dispel. No, meaning coming back to when people are told the first birth initiation is just around physical plane orientation, life lessons around diet and health challenges, respectfully, no. And can people now see why I'm saying that? That is a description of the first minor initiation. And this is a piece of the probationary pathway. So again, respectfully, no. If you want to debate or discuss or give people information about what the first hierarchical birth initiation is, the first birth initiation is not just physical health challenges, diet orientation, and physical life lessons. Gently, again, that is a piece of the probationary pathway. And it's a piece of the first birth initiation, but not the first birth initiation in its totality. So, on that note, I hope this has cleared things up for people. So again, to explain this another way, if you want to talk about initiation with me in a general sense, yes, there are 3 initiations here. But if you want to go near the language of what Ascended Master Dwelcall said about the first birth initiation and what the first birth hierarchical initiation is, a more holistic understanding of that is what I've just read out in this document. Stages 1, 2, and 3 of building the rainbow bridge with all of that causation and all of those auric marker manifestations. So in other words, I've just read out what it looks like and what you experience when you are going through the hierarchical initiation process in sequence, meaning experiencing the subplane changes in sequence with all connection points intact. Not doing a little bit here, then skipping to a little bit over here. This is a initiatory description roadmap for how to holistically and very smoothly have and reconsummate your first birth initiation. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has been very enlightening and deeply interesting for people. So on that note, please do have patience with me. Like I said, this is still being peer reviewed by people who I would consider to be very wise and knowledgeable about the hierarchical initiations. I'm still awaiting some feedback, and there's still some people I would like feedback from. So while that is all being done in the lead up to me releasing this document for free, please send me good thoughts. You know, if you're very eager to receive this hard copy document and you would like to hear more about this, or even if you've just enjoyed the video, I would love just some good thoughts sent my way. I call it the pink light technique, you know, saying the soul mantra, invoking pink light and sending me some pink light and goodwill. Please send me some good thoughts for helping with momentum, with getting this document maybe just a little bit more tidied up before public release, because I want this to be as whole as possible before giving it out more publicly. So do send me good thoughts. But either way, I hope this video has been enjoyable, and I will put some links below this video for where you can access the techniques I'm discussing. Rainbow Bridge techniques are available for free. I will have a Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 class coming up soon. If you did want to train with me for a small exchange fee, I'll put all of the links down. and the links to the Antakurana document where you can already start reading about this in preparation for waiting for me to release this document. And I forgot to mention, this is an auric plate. So this is one of my case study auric plates of a real student subjecting themselves to the Rainbow Bridge techniques, doing the Rainbow Bridge enforcement techniques. So this is what it looks like when someone has consummated stage 3 and is starting into stage 4, meaning this person had fully built to their triad meaning. They had the soul to head thread, soul to heart thread, the personality service thread, and you can see it there linking up to the abstract mind point in the triad. And they'd already started a little bit into stage 4, and you can see that here with the personality love thread starting to weave, that weaving starting up to monad. So on that note, I hope this has been a helpful video. I hope it's been interesting. I hope it's been insightful. And if there's any questions, please feel free to contact me through my website, www.chloefolan.com. In my next video, I will be addressing the second baptism initiation following the same line of force, meaning I'll be talking about what I consider to be initiation misinformation that's widely spread about the second initiation, and then contrasting that with a more holistic representation, if you will, of the totality of what the second baptism initiation is in its totality. So I hope people are getting excited for that, the taster of this test video. So on that note, 7 ray blessings to all.